this. So just bringing in the feeds across the Academy. So we're connecting to our streaming software, mate, and we'll do a countdown in a couple of minutes and rack into it. How's your day been, my brother? Big one?
It's been okay.
Yeah?
Been all right. Usual.
Very downbeat and chilled at the moment, mate. I like it.
It depends what you ask me.
Someone's a little bit nervous. It's so good. I love it. How good. All right. So we are live across the academies. Good morning, Tezzy. I don't know how you do it, Tez. I don't know how you manage. Literally within 10 seconds of me ever going live, you're always the first one in here. It's so freaking good. What's going on, guys? Good morning. I hope you've had a beautiful start to the morning by the time you watch this. We're going to kick this episode off in a couple of moments. Now, there wasn't a lot of notice in this one because, hey, Ash, how are you, girl? Because I reached out to Dave at very short notice and said, all right, Dave, we're getting you on the podcast. And he said, oh, really? When's that? And I said, tomorrow. And he said, okay, cool. I'm into it. I'm stuck. I'm nervous as shit, but I'll do it anyway. That's the way we roll, right, Dave? That's the way we roll, brother. All right, guys. So we are live across all the places. And as you can see, I'm here with my boy, Davey Reynolds, a.k.a. the modern day Eminem. Do you think this is going to stick, Dave, or not?
What?
The
Eminem?
Yeah, I think it's fucking a great little name for you, man.
I don't know.
So good. Hey, Vanessa, how are you, girlfriend? I hope you're great. Good morning to all the Aussies, and I hope you're having a lovely, wonderful start. And to our boys that are in the UK or getting up early, just remember we're going to go straight from this podcast episode to the UK-based coaching calls. So we're going to get stuck straight into that. All right, Dave, we ready to rock and roll, girlfriend?
Go for it.
We're ready to rock and roll. I love it. All right, let's do this, guys. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And if you're watching this live, I very nearly headbutted the microphone there accidentally because I'm super freaking excited about the guest that we're bringing on today. He's my boy. He is my boy. And his name's Dave Backhouse Reynolds. He's been with us for how long, brother? 9, 10 months?
12 months.
Oh, if we separate, oh, geez, I feel bad now. 12 months, so we've celebrated our 1 year anniversary. And we brought him on the podcast today because Dave's got a pretty, I guess, a unique story in that his transformation's been one of two halves. So the first half being very fucking slow, and then the second half being a proper acceleration. And we're going to pick apart how he's managed to do that. Right now, Dave is about half to a kilo short of 20 kilos weight loss. How long's that happened over, Dave? Like the last 4 months?
Yeah, I'd say 4 months.
Yeah.
4 months, definitely,
and,
yeah.
Dave literally has just got serious all of a sudden. So I want to unpack this a little bit with you guys, hopefully give you a little bit of insight into what's caused Dave to move. So if you listen to this podcast and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, like things are slow for me, it's not working, hopefully Dave's got a couple of nuggets that he can share with you. So for the guys that don't know you, Dave, the guys and girls, tell us a bit about yourself, brother. How old are you? Where do you live? What's your story? What do you do for work?
So I'm based in Manchester in the UK. I'm 40 years young, soon to be 41, but we won't talk about that.
Nice.
And I work for an international corporate security company.
Wow.
So sat down all day.
Sat down
literally
all freaking day. And the thing about
all
you,
day.
Dave, is that at work you're effectively like a team lead. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, give or take. So yeah, I don't actually have any direct reports at the moment, but yeah, that's managing people and looking at reports all day. It's always fun, corporate world, as you know, Jace.
I do, and I think the big thing, which I really resonated with your story, Dave, because when you first came in, I saw a guy who was just like working his ass off, trying to manage people, getting like super duper stressed. And I remember what that felt like. It was just like, oh my God, like it's not that this works super mentally stimulating, but it's challenging because I'm dealing with shit constantly over and over on repetition. And what I used to do is go home and like drink myself to the weekends. I just could not wait until Friday. Like every fucking week, it was like Mondays here. Oh my God, it's still Monday. Um,
It doesn't change.
it doesn't change, yeah, and that's a dread where it gets compounded when you're feeling crappy about yourself. So take us back, Dave. Like we were speaking for a little bit before you started. Why did you get yourself to a place where you stacked on weight, and how long did that accumulate over?
Oh, I mean, been in a relationship for 18 years. Anyone's going to put a bit of weight on. It's called contentment, I suppose. I
Mm,
suppose over the 18 years, I've probably 8 stone in total.
mm,
Um, I mean, currently at the moment, I now weigh less than when I got married 8 years ago.
wow.
Um, so it's been a slow drawn process, I suppose. Probably the last 4 years, I probably piled the weight on a bit more.
Mm-hmm,
That was just down to medication.
mm,
With the anxiety and depression medication that I went back onto 4.5 years ago. Because obviously, especially anxiety medication, it slows your metabolic rate down
yeah,
massively.
yeah,
And obviously, it's designed to chill you out, but chill you out to the point of you can't be bothered.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
So,
think it's a constant battle for a lot of people. The like the medication might help them to feel a little bit better, but there are physical consequences that come with that. What
yeah.
was the like? Are you naturally just like an anxious person? Like, what is there something that triggered that, or what?
No, I mean, it started probably about 10 years ago in a job that I was in. I was brought in to lead and design, etc. I was, just turned 30, pretty young but
Mm,
ambitious, and it just didn't work out to the point where it was just breaking point.
mm,
I think I always suffered with a bit of anxiety,
mm,
but it got worse as I got older.
mm.
And my anxiety is more of a mass crowds. I hate going shopping. I hate being in shopping malls. When there's too many people, I just want to push everyone out of the way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a bit like that. So
So
it's like it came hand in hand.
was it like did you feel yourself like getting like you were eating your emotions? Is that what led to the weight piling on?
No, I think at that point the initial breakdown was it came to a head. Like the black dog. I did suffer with quite a bit of depression at that point with the job. I took 6 weeks off. I would find myself just sat down, emotional breakdown for no reason, not really talking about it to
Mm,
anyone,
mm,
and took 6 weeks out of work. And within them 6 weeks, I found another job and made a move because something had to change at that point.
mm,
I then came off the medication 3 years later.
mm,
Probably did it a bit too fast. Current company I work for was in a previous job within there, quite high pressure. There was a high demand for it. It was a brand new solution and everything like that. There was a lot of pressure on everywhere. And me and my manager at the time came to loggerheads, and we both resigned actually on the same day. But it was at that point where I thought I just need to go back on it and take my time
mm,
in getting to that point. And 4 years later, I'm now at that point where I'm now in conversations with my doctor to now slowly come off it. It will take 6 to 12 months
mm.
because I don't want to just come straight off it, and obviously then deal with it that way.
What a fantastic position to be in. How much has like how much would you say the kind of transformation you've done on your physical and mental health has impacted that?
Oh, massively. It's I think even being on the medication, which was helping the moods and obviously the anxiety, but subconsciously it was all about self worth as well and what you look at yourself in the mirror.
Mm,
And this last 12 months has been ridiculous. I mean, the last 4 months has been amazing. But it took me that first 8 months to sort the mindset out rather than the physical
So
to really get to grips.
let's talk about that, because from the outside, I think it's easy to say, oh, you were just like not following the plan, or you're bludging or whatever. And I think that's like, this is something that a lot of people don't get. What you did very early on is you knew yourself, and you knew your triggers, and you knew that if you put too much pressure on yourself, you would end up just
Yeah,
bellowing out. And a lot of people
yeah.
do that. And then when they do that, they end up just like falling by the wayside and never getting anywhere. You played a shorter game. So, what was it that actually took you to the point where you're like, okay, cool, now's the time that I've actually got to get serious in this? Because your kind of like weight curve looks like this. It's like a flat line, and then all of a sudden, like a massive cliff drop. Like, what happened?
Um, a lot of things have happened over the last 12 months work wise. So I'm now in, I think, the third position due to corporate restructures, etc. I've not got direct reports, but a lot has gone on in regards to, I now know where I stand and where I fit within my business. So I'm currently in a position where I'm looking for an alternative role within the company where I can go out and I can advise and train and do the reporting without actually having the managerial responsibility, which is where the direction I want to go. So I'm in a lot happier place. I'm in a lot happier place in regards to the hours I work. I log on at 8 a.m. I log off by 4:30. I've done my hours. That's it. There's no extra work anymore.
Mm.
Um, and also it got to a point, so back in February, which we've discussed previously, Jace, I went for an MOT at the doctor's because I'd moved, changed doctors, etc. So they did the blood pressure and everything like that. Blood pressure was great, lung capacity was great, but my cholesterol level was quite high. And I'd been told it was high about a few years previous, but I'd put it off because I don't want to be on anti-cholesterol tablets under the age of 40. But talking to family, it is quite hereditary in our family to have natural high cholesterol. And with family history of heart problems, kidney problems, etc. So I went on cholesterol, but I had one of the minor side effects of gaining weight, and I literally within 4 weeks gained on, I would say, 16 pound, which massively affected my confidence in that sense. And the doctor said it would take another month for that to balance out. So when the weight stopped going off, and because the tools you'd given me, and because my mindset had already changed, it was then time to kick what needed to be done to make things happen.
How much of a role was seeing yourself in the photos at your brother's wedding? How much did that play a role?
Oh, well, I mean, my sister's wedding wasn't too bad. My sister's wedding, I'd already lost about a stone because my sister had set me a target to lose a stone for a wedding, and I actually beat her for a wedding dress as well, which was always good fun. But no, my dad's 60th, it was, the family photo was literally like, I mean, my brother down below me, he's 34. He's about half a foot shorter than me. There's now of him anyway. So stood next to him in a picture was a bit of a shock, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that happens to a lot of people. It's like, we can be told, like, how many times have we heard that's not good for your health, or you shouldn't smoke, or you shouldn't drink, or you should do drugs? Like, it's not as if knowing means that we do it, right? We have to get to a point where something hits and we need to hear it in a language that we understand for it actually to land. And sometimes it takes a long time. You can be told by everyone, and then you look at a photo and you see yourself and you're like, fuck, I hate this.
Yeah.
And so tell us, what did you do? Because I think this is the point that I want to work towards. You've got crazy results in a short period of time. And for a guy that has constantly said, like, I can't go walking because it's raining. I don't go to the gym because I'm scared, and I emotionally eat. Like, they're like three big hurdles that someone has to cross. So what have you actually done to lose the weight? Like, what part of it do you think's helped you to move the needle the most?
The massive needle was the last what was personally the last restructuring work. And I know I revert back to work, but I think that work can have a massive impact on anyone's life, regardless of whether you want the work-life balance. Work is there, and the last restructure, just really cracking down. These are my hours, etc. It gave me more time to contemplate and reset my mind of going, this is what I want to do. So I increased my water intake. Yeah, my steps still aren't great, but what I did was I was very conscious about what I was eating. So if I did feel hungry, I'd actually sit there and go, do I need to eat? And so I'd have water instead. My grandfather's always said to me, drink water if you're hungry, because it fakes the brain that you're filling yourself up. And a lot of it as well was, support from my other half. He does the cooking, but he was getting tired of cooking because obviously he gets in later than when I finish work, and so we've gone out. We've got a plan. We not necessarily the meal plan, but we understand in regards to what you've given us, given to myself. So we buy these like high protein meal pots, and they're quick in the microwave. I've increased my fibre intake. And you've badgered me about, and obviously with the program, get you 200 grams of protein, blah blah blah. But suffering and being a lactose intolerant, finding the right protein shake is a nightmare. Found the right one. I use the 𝐵IMTO one, which actually seems to be the best one. But to aid with my protein intake, I've done a little bit of research in different things. So I've upped my vitamin intake as well, like D3 and K3. I've joined the gym, and I was always conscious about going to the gym, but my mate's gym membership was coming up. We used to go to the gym together years ago, so we signed up at a gym that was in between where we lived, so we go there 2-3 times a week now. We do it together. It gave me that, I think, bit more of a momentum, and I think my stress levels have gone down, so a lot of that weight loss has been due to the stress levels being lower as well, and being happy with myself.
This conversation is like far too mature for me. usually it's like, oh, I cut out grog and I did this and I did that, and it's like, dude, you've made a lifestyle shift, and what I love about it is that it's very wholesome in terms of your partner's on board, and you're not like, you're not starving yourself. Number one, you're still enjoying a little bit of indulgence. Number two, it's not as if you're going to the gym 17 times a week. Like, you're modest in your approach, and it feels like it's doable for the foreseeable future. We recently had a chance to hang out at the retreat in Glasgow, and I just had a real sense of, like, not that I knew you before, but that your self-belief was almost like starting to return, and you're becoming like confident in your own voice again. Is that real, or did I imagine that?
No, definitely coming a bit more confident. I've always come across as a confident person, but self-aware and conscious about how I feel a lot better. And doing what I've done now, I know now the next step is I need to ramp up the protein a bit more, because I've got rid of a lot of water and with the weight and stuff like that. So now I need to start ramping that up, and I've got to be conscious as well that I'm going to the gym, so I'm not going to lose as much weight as quick because I'm building the muscle as well. So
exactly, yeah. And in terms of, that in previous times when you've seen people in your environment lose tons of weight just through restriction, if it's not paired with some level of like resistance training and there's an inclusion of some indulgences, it's just going to be like, you lose the weight, you put the weight back on, you lose the weight, you put the weight back on, and it never ends. You end up in this yo-yo cycle. I think what you're doing now is tremendous. It's sustained, it's measured, it's doable for life. One of the things that I've got to commend you on is that you have constantly showed up. I think you've probably missed maybe one coaching call in 12 months, aside from the times that you were away abroad. Why do you keep showing up? Like, why do you keep showing up to the coaching calls?
So a lot to do with it is, I know my my weight loss, I suppose, only started 4 months ago, but my journey started 12 months ago.
Mm,
And what I found was, and what was reaffirmed and reconfirmed at the retreat,
mm,
is that the program is not just about the physicality
mm,
or the mindset, it's about the connections.
mm,
And the connections we've made within the UK group, and even with the girls now who went on the retreat group, we made a really good connection. It's nice to talk to people that are going through similar situations. You can advise, you can have open conversations. Everyone's open and honest in what they want to talk about, and they know they're not going to get any judgment.
mm.
Um, and it's like Steve said, you and Kev are now my gym buddies, even though we all live nearly 300 miles apart from each other,
I love that.
and we had a really good time at the retreat, and it was nice to finally meet him. Even though we'd had the Zoom calls, it was nice to finally meet in person, and it wasn't awkward
Mm,
because we'd had them pre-conversations. And I think that's really helped me in the first 8 months. Yes, there was a bit of the work factor, but a lot of it for the mindset change was just knowing that you could fail, you could lean in. Nobody was going to judge you for having a pack of biscuits or falling off the wagon or having a bad day. Or it was about, and I think the one thing I could probably say of anyone listening to this and thinking about doing it is that, do you know what? It's not a program where you're forced to make a change straight away. It's at your own pace, and don't feel guilty about going at your own pace, because you need to find out what works for you. But using the same tools that's given to everyone else, you will find people that will drop, they'll build muscle really quick. You'll find some that are a bit slower. It's finding your own balance within that mix.
Yeah, and you've got I'm guessing one of your mates here, Paul Gill, who said like, "Tell me what you're doing because I want to get into the same journey as you." And look, this is a thing. Like most guys, they think that like I just need to be told, I just need to be given a plan, right?
Yeah,
And sure, we can commit to a plan for a week or two or three, but then life comes up, and then what do you do? Like, what do you do when you've got to go home to a family or to a career or work scales or something's happening there which grabs your time back? I think that,
yeah,
I think more important, you just hit the nail on the head, more important than any single piece of dietary or training advice is being in a group where you have some accountability, which is why I
yeah,
personally think like one-on-one PT sucks. It sucks because you're literally, you might have 1 or 2 or 3 hours a week with your trainer, and then in between, you're by yourself again. It's
yeah,
really hard to keep your own motivation up. Dave, the final question I want to ask you is, um, you like you seem to be very giving to our UK community, but also to like our BBA. Like you're a giving person. Like what drives that? What are you feeling? Why do you feel the need to return that? It's almost like there's some reciprocity happening here.
I think it's one of them, innit? I'm doing it for me, but there's always someone out there who's struggling.
Yeah.
There's always someone that's going to be worse off than you, and I think karma's a good thing, and I think you know giving that little bit of advice, even to the guys in the group when we have our weekly calls and our chats. People have had it's giving your perspective, and it's not judging, and it's not saying I'm right. It's just, well, this is my opinion. Why not try this?
Yeah.
And it's about opening that conversation. Everyone's got different opinions, but it's about having a positive conversation, debate about things from people's different perspectives and life experiences.
Dude, I couldn't love that more because of the fact that you can listen to a PT who sits at home and goes to the gym for 2 hours a day and has everything perfect and all their ducks in a row. That's very easy. Try doing it as a working man that's working 10 hours a day. Like, that's hard. And so you need to be in the company of other blokes or other women that are doing the same thing and can advise you what's worked for them, perhaps around meal planning, for example, about having conversations with your partner about how to balance off time at the gym with each other, how to try to explain. One of the most difficult conversations, I think, is to have a conversation with your partner about, if they don't want to start their journey, but you do, how do you not continue to be enabled or make them feel bad and be able to run your own race? Like, it's a challenging thing. And that's why most people never change. That's why most people get sucked in. So, dude, I'm just going to read out a comment here from Tez because I absolutely love it. He says, awesome work, Dave. I love your mindset and the way you never gave up, just did it at your own pace, and now you're in total control. I actually think that's a fantastic way to end out the podcast, Dave. What I do want to do is just say publicly, brother, straight man to gay man, I fucking love you, brother. Getting to spend time with you at the retreat. I mean, it really it made my whole trip, because I love breaking down these barriers. And for you, I think you're a great representation of a client that did it tough at the start, but didn't quit on himself. And the product is, you might have had a slow start, but now you've lost 20 kilos over the course of a year. That's a really good result. So I'm looking forward to where this ends up, over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months. And then look out the UK when Dave's attacking summer 2025. I'll tell you what, there's going to be purple G-strings everywhere. I can't wait.
Oh no, we don't do cheese graters. No, we're all right, thanks.
Not that type. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap the episode there. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you got a little bit of a nugget or two out of this, if not just some inspiration, that if you're doing it tough in your own transformation, be it inside of our academy or external to it, just understand that doing it tough doesn't mean you should quit. Doing it tough, struggling a little bit, perhaps is preparing you. It's callousing your mind to be able to do harder things. And if you're like Dave and you stick to it, you know what happens? Eventually you develop some resilience and self-belief to overcome yourself. Congratulations, Dave. Love you, brother. Appreciate you coming on. Guys, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. All right, team. That is a wrap ski. Thank you so much for coming in. I hope you got it. And look, I love when the girls get involved and Ash says, what a guy. Thank you for sharing, Dave. I'll tell you what, Ash is an even better bloke in person, mate, to be fair. So thanks for the love on the podcast. And guys, we're going to go live to the UK time zone for men coaching call now. So if you would like to join, please do so. Also, just a note, I will be, if you're listening to this live, I will be mid-air tomorrow. So there will be, this podcast is coming in early to counter for that fact. So I'll put a post up in the group to let everyone know. All right, Dave, I'll see you in a couple of minutes on the call. Peace out, team.